it's me. No, it's been a minute, and I actually wanted the first video of this year to be a game review, because that's supposedly what I do on this channel. But I realized what I wanted to talk about was puzzle games. Recently, the couple that I have infrequent game days with, they came over, and I introduced them to a bunch of old, like, 8 and 16-bit puzzle games. Stuff like Adventures of Lolo, Penguin Land, Lode Runner, that kind of stuff. And I wanted to talk about, one of those games, because those are all games from my childhood. I absolutely love those games. Growing up, puzzle games were, like, an important thing to me because they were just really challenging, but in a different way from other games. Like, Mega Man was a game that I loved, and it was challenging, but that's because the game was hard. You had to have really good timing, and you had to memorize where each of the enemies are gonna, spawn onto the screen, or, the various attack patterns of the bosses, that kind of thing. Puzzle games were difficult because you actually had to solve the puzzle. You couldn't brute force your way through it. You can't play a screen enough times to memorize what to do. You actually have to look at the puzzle and say, okay, on this screen for Adventure of Lolo, what blocks do I have to move into what positions and in what order to be able to progress through this screen? There's only one right answer. So it was just a different kind of thing, but it was fun. I loved that challenge. I've always been a big fan of puzzles like that. So those games were a big thing for me. However, there's not much to say about any one of those games. I could show the unique mechanisms of the game, I could show you some gameplay, maybe talk about the music, but most of them only had one or two songs for the whole game. And the gameplay itself is incredibly simplistic for all of them. So the only way I could make that video would be just running through all of my favorite puzzle games from that era. The ones I just mentioned, as well as Lemmings, Boulder Dash, those kinds of things. But, I don't know, I haven't figured out the angle for that video yet, so I didn't make that video yet. But then, there's this video that the entire internet was making. Collectively, everyone on the internet was making the same video. And it's a type of video that I want to get interested in, but also annoys me greatly. And so I'm going to complain about it, but then I'm going to make one myself. And that is a song react video. Everyone is reacting to one song, and I guess let me back up a little bit. If you haven't noticed from watching this channel, I have what some would call an addictive personality. Now, I don't do, heroin or coke or any of that stuff. No. Instead, what happens with me is when I find something that I enjoy, it gives me, that happy drug on the inside of the brain part. I go full hog into that thing, if the wall behind me didn't give it away. And it's not just video games. I have several shelves full of board games, half of which I haven't even been able to play because I don't have a lot of friends or time to do the board games with. I have friends, just not ones that are into board games and also have time to play them. Let me be clear that. I also, you've seen in my library there, I have a whole wall of comic books and 4 more boxes of comics that sometimes rotate into those frames. And on the other side of the room is multiple shelves of actual just regular books and graphic novels and manga and just anything that can be read. But another love of mine is music. I'm really big into music. I've been to quite literally hundreds of concerts. When I was in college for a little while, I actually used to DJ. Not like a big time thing. I wasn't, Skrillex or Tiesto or anything like that. I was doing the basketball games for our college, or occasionally someone would ask me to DJ at a party. I sat in with the college radio station and I was buddies with the DJ there, and so I helped out some nights, curating a playlist or whatever. Basic level stuff, but I've done enough. And that's just to say that I love music, all genres of music, and I know when people say that it's cliche and a bit cringy, I love all music, but they really don't. But I really do, because I've had to listen to so much, just different kind of things. Growing up, I was listening to what my parents listened to, or what my grandparents listened to, which are two very different things. And then, when I was a little kid, I lived in the inner city, and so what my friends listened to there, was very different than what my parents or grandparents listened to. And then I moved to a very rural area, basically just a cow field with a few houses scattered around it. And believe it or not, what people listen to there, not the same as what they listen to in the inner city. I know that may be a shock, but it's actually very different. But yeah, I've been exposed to so many different kinds of music, and I can usually find something I enjoy in all of them. So that is to say that when I see the video reviews online of people like reacting to a new song or a new band or whatever, I'm always interested. I want to check it out because I'm always curious to see how different songs, especially if they're unique in some way or like do an unusual blend of different genres or to do something stand out. I'm always curious to see how people will take that in, what their reaction will be, what their thoughts of that are. Because I just like knowing what other people think of the things that I enjoy. And so the one that's been going around... No, let me not get into that. Let me digress again here. I'll put time codes so you can skip all the rambling and just get to the video part of the video. But I first want to say something I hate about these react videos. A is the title, or the fake premise, where someone's like, "Oh, you know, I react to this song for the first time." Well, it's not the first time though, is it? Because you had to watch it at least once to know that, hey, this is something people want to talk about. This is something unique. This is something that I can, plan an elaborate or interesting reaction to. Like, they're not going in blind. Any of the ones that say they are almost certainly lying. They're probably researching the artists so they know what to say about them, or researching the song, if it's like a cover or a rearrangement or something. They're researching the original, listening to it multiple times, listening to the new one, so they can point out differences in their reaction. They're never going in blind. And the ones that are even worse are like when they say, "Oh, drummer listens to Rush for the first time." Like, come on. That's the most flagrant bullshit. If you're a drummer and you haven't listened to Rush, you're not a fucking drummer, are you? Like, you know who Neil Peart is, obviously. Or rocker listens to Metallica for the first time, or, rapper listens to Michael Jackson for the first time. Like, shut up. Every time I see those video titles, I just want to slap someone. It's so dumb. You've clearly listened to that band before. Everyone's listened to that band before. Even if you don't like rock, or don't like rap, or don't like pop, or whatever you don't like, there's certain bands that you just know. Like, I know Elvis. I know the Beatles. I don't even like either of those bands, but I know them and could name a lot of their songs because they're just that big and that iconic. So when I see someone says, listens to Nirvana for the first time, shut the hell up. Nirvana is the reason grunge as a genre exists. Nirvana is the reason that Dave Grohl is the name that he is right now. Like, you know Nirvana. You've heard them. You're aware of them. You know their song titles. Shut up. So, I just want to get that out of my system. I obviously am going to react to a song I have heard before. Believe it or not, this is not my first time watching it. I already have thoughts in my head of things I want to say about this song. So I don't want to do that fake-ass little, "Oh my god, I can't believe this song." Like, no, I can believe it. I've heard it at least several dozen times. I'm obsessed with it. It's the whole reason I'm making this video about it. It'd be really dumb to talk about it and then turn it on and be like, "Oh, it's fine." Like, no, it's extraordinary. That's why I'm talking about it. That's why everyone else is making videos about it too. So, all of the preamble aside, and I don't even know how many minutes it's been because I'm getting old and going blind and can't see the screen from here, but I'm going to actually react to a song, Black Betty. It's a cover of the song by Ram Jam, classic rock staple. You've all heard it, I'm sure. But it's being covered by someone called Vahtang, or Vahtang. I'm not sure, and it's not because I didn't do the research. It's because I've seen it pronounced multiple different ways by 100 different people. Also, I have seen some people online point out that he's a Russian beatboxer, which is amazing. Not the Russian part, the beatboxing part. Let me be clear there. And some people have said that, well, maybe this is like a Russian psyop, and, they're pushing this video and getting so big, and YouTube's recommending this video to everybody, because, you know, they want to, like, slowly work in some Russian agenda or whatever. I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, if Putin's agenda is beatboxing should be more popular, you know what? He's got me there. I'll concede that one. Any other point he might be making, I don't see how this video would help. But if that particular point is one that he wants to make, and this is how he wants to make it, you know what? I agree. But that being said, I do want to talk about this video, and again, I know it's not normal for me to talk about just random YouTube music videos when I normally cover very nerdy stuff like video games and comic books and horror movies, but it's interesting, it's cool, it's worth talking about because the dude's talented as hell in the video and audio that accompany it are just absolutely amazing. So let's just do the thing. And if you don't want more videos like this, you can leave a comment and let me know, mostly because comments help engagement. I would love to have some engagement on this channel. But also, I probably won't do more of this anyway. This is just one video that really stood out to me, and I have listened to nonstop for like a week now. But yeah, I'm going to do the thing. Oh, also, I want to be clear. If I'm going to react to something, I don't want to go the Sniper Wolf route. In fact, no one should ever go the Sniper Wolf route on anything in life, ever. She's a terrible, awful human being and should be deplatformed and just completely cast aside in society like the actual garbage that she is. But no, I am going to actually give my thoughts on the video. I'll actually pause it to talk about it throughout the video. I want to do a proper reaction. I don't just want to watch while occasionally going, wow! Like, no, I want to say things. I have thoughts in my head that need to come out of my head so that new, annoying thoughts can get in there. All the voices are just getting too loud. I need to let a few out. Anywho, let's do the thing. I'm gonna push the button and then we're gonna talk.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Okay, so I want to stop right there. I know we didn't get far at all. Right off the bat, this dude, if that was the video, spoiler alert, it's going to be different, but if that was the whole video right there, if that tone was just that, if that was the substance of this video, I would still love it. Just the way he comes in with just that really soulful voice. He's got that little bit of like grit and rasp that you can tell he's going to do more. It's not just going to be the soul, but just, I don't know, the way that hit, like, if you crank it loud, if you have a decent stereo, and there's one thing I pride myself on, is I do, and if you really turn that up, like, his voice hits. It's just, he's got that just soulful, just, I don't know how to describe it. It hits well. Like, it sounds good, and just, you can feel emotion there, which is funny, because if he is Russian, and I'm pretty sure he is, he's most likely just mimicking, not vowels, he's just mimicking syllables. So, he's not saying the words because they are the words and they mean what they mean. He's making the sounds that match the words that he hears because that's how the song goes. It's like when Americans like me or other Americans who are never bilingual because we're uneducated, when we sing along to like 99 Red Balloons or anything by Rammstein or all the verses that aren't by Jacoby in that song by The Who. And no, I don't mean the one of the 80s, I mean the Mongolian throat-singing metal band. We sing along with those songs, and we just match the syllables. We don't know what we're saying. They're not even words to us. They're just the noises that you hear in that order in that song. He might be doing the same thing. So he might not really have the emotion behind the words, but the way he projects his voice and his tone and just the way he belts that out, it just still resonates. It still feels like it has that emotion. It has that soulful sound that just... it hits, it's powerful, it's great. And also just right off the bat, just the video that you can see, just him alone in this empty auditorium, and he's just got like a spotlight on him. Like you can see there's some lights in the background, but it's clearly focused on him. It just, I don't know, that with the audio that you're hearing of just this little like soulful almost mourn. It all really works. So he's clearly aware of how to make a video and how to introduce the song and how to build, because he's definitely setting a stage here. So right off the bat, kudos to him for just doing a great job. In the first 10 seconds, you're hooked, or at least I was, and the rest of the internet appears to be too. This video is, as of recording this, a month old and has just shy of 1 million views. And this is for a channel that has less than 100,000 or less than 50,000 subscribers and only 4 posted videos. And he's getting 1 million views. He knows what he's doing and he's doing it well. But I will carry on now.
Oh, whoa, Black Betty.
Okay. That... first of all, the first time I heard that, I don't even know what my face looked like, but I can tell you it was not a normal expression for a face to make. That bass, it's something. When you hear it the first time, because you're not expecting it, and you can't even process it right away. It doesn't sound like a noise that a human can make. So when he does it, like, and this is where him being a beatboxer comes into play, is that he can make these noises, and he has such good control over his vocal cords and his range and just the way he makes noises that he can do those subs and those weird guttural bass noises. It's not even singing at that point, it is more of a noise that you're doing, but he can do it so well, and he it's not just that he did it, it's that he switched from the singing to the bass, just like that, like mid-sentence, and then he's going to go on to switch back to regular singing again. It's incredible. You have to have great control to be able to do that, so he's skilled as hell. But also, if you're going to see reactions to this video on the internet, the way everyone reacts to that drop, to that first bass note, is great. And it's also... It's a weird thing for me, because I know my initial reaction to hearing that was completely over the top. Like, I heard that, and I had to, like, brace myself, because I'm like, what the hell was that? And what kind of amazingness am I in for? So I know, like, my body's reaction was weird, but some of the reactors you see online, they go too far. Like, literally falling out of their chair, or I saw one guy basically standing in his chair like, oh, fuck off! Like, it's... I get that just response of this is bewildering and unbelievable, because it is, he's incredible, but at the same time, these people clearly had seen his video before, and they prepared themselves to overact, and it just shows. So, yeah, I don't know, that was a weird tangent there, I don't even know what point I was making, but his control of his voice and his bass is incredible, and if nothing else, watching other people react to it is really funny. So, if you know someone that hasn't seen this video before, get it in front of them, turn it up to a decent volume, play it, and then just wait for that first drop to see the look on their face, because it is really funny. I'm going to back up again, and let's go.
Whoa, Black Betty. Whoa, Black Betty. Black Betty had a child.
That's the other way you can tell he's a beatboxer. Just all the stuff he's doing with his fingers. Like, they all do that. They have that internal... Like, they almost sync their hands up with the stuff they're doing. I know I'm talking over the audio. It's still playing right now. But, it's just... I don't know, it's basically their own remote control. Like you saw there, like I said, here, let me rewind.
Betty had a child. Don't think gonna wild.
See, all that stuff he's doing with his finger, like he's basically cueing himself up to use that voice. If you watch a lot of beatboxing, which I watch way too much of, you'll notice it's something they all do. They all kind of do that. They direct their own actions. It's actually very similar to a lot of DJs. Will always, like, when they're building up to a drop, they'll do the things with their hands, and then, like, when it hits, they'll be like it's a thing. It's not just people in the crowd, like, yeah, getting amped and then reacting to the song. The DJ usually does it too, and, like, they're even raising their hand as they're doing it, because they're getting ready mentally to do this drop, and they're kind of cueing they're not cueing themselves, but they're acting it out in real time. I don't know. Again, I don't know what point I'm trying to make. It's just something you notice a lot in DJs and beatboxers and anyone that has control over a rhythm. They tend to do that kind of stuff. So it's just interesting to see him doing it. And it's how you know that he is genuine. Like, I'm sure some post effects are added to his video, but at least some of this, I'm willing to bet a lot of it, is just skill and talent and practice. And you can tell he's genuine, that he's actually doing this stuff because of how he's reacting to it and how he's physically acting out like that. But yeah, I'm going to carry on. Also, I'm realizing now as I do this, I should have made this full screen so that it would show up better in this video. Editing me is going to have a hell of a time.
Always ready, bam, bam. She's all rock steady, bam, bam. Whoa, Black Betty, bam, bam. Yeah, Black Betty.
Okay, and again, like I talked about the video production in the beginning, where he's alone in this auditorium. It's just the lights, it's kind of panning in from the side. It sets the stage and it helps build. But now we're at this point of the video where he's done his reveal. Like, he's not just this solo singer. Now we're getting into the beatboxing, and you really start to get the percussion and the layers to the audio here. And that's when, he's got a full light show behind him now. The auditorium is lit up and the lights are flicking on and off in time with the music. So the video production is ramped up with the audio, which again just lets me know that this guy, he really knows what he's doing. Not just as a beatboxer, but as just a producer and an entertainer and a showman. He knows how to play all the angles here and just make this video so incredibly successful. It's a minute 46 long. Like, this could be a YouTube short. It's not that long of a video. And yet it's, like I said, it's gotten 1 million views in a month for a guy with less than 50K subscribers. But the reason is, it's just he knew how to make a good video. Yeah. Also, he is doing the beatboxing now, and just right off the bat, it's a somewhat basic beat. It's not super complicated. You can hear he's doing, like, it's not just a regular, like, boom, boom, boom. Like, he's got, like, half notes in there. It's somewhat complex, but it's not unusual. But the way he's going to layer it in a minute to go back and forth between the vocals and the beatboxing, he may have recorded those as separate tracks and then layered them, or had, like, a loop station involved just to record the audio for this video, but the way his breaths are spaced out and everything really makes me think he probably could do a very good approximation of this video's audio live. It doesn't seem too far-fetched that he could do all of this simultaneously. I've seen beatboxers that can beatbox and, like, sing and do the bass percussion at the same time. I've seen beatboxers who can do a beat while playing the flute. Like, it is insane what people can do. You have no idea how astounding just your lung capacity in your lungs and your throat vocal cords really are. Like, people are amazing. So I have no trouble believing that this is all real and possible. Yeah. See, again, so far, that doesn't sound too complicated. The little, like, subtone he's got going throughout is really cool. But the rest sounds pretty basic. However,
Oh, Black Betty. Oh, Black Betty.
now it's more. So it's got the beat and the vocals, still dropping in bass, and then right here, once he just converts to doing the whole thing in that bass, that's, like, the Bam-a-lam was low the whole time. He was always doing the Bam-a-lam, and I know that's not as low as he did. We'll pretend. But, like, when you hear him do that, it hits you, like, oh. But then it just becomes that thing. But once he does the whole line like that, the whole verse, it feels different. And it's not. It's the same voice, it's the same tone, it's the same note, but it feels different. It feels like the song is progressing, and it feels like his talent is progressing, and he's showing you something more impressive and new and cool. Again, it just goes back to, this dude knows how to put on a show, and he knows how to construct this to impress. So I'm super impressed because he knows how to impress. The guy is great, is basically what I'm saying. And then this right here. Okay, so again, like I said before, there's probably some post-production happening. There's probably a little bit of studio magic just to like sharpen things and adjust things slightly, pitch things up a little bit. There might be a little bit of layering, especially with like the guitar solo effect he's doing on top of the percussion. So, you know, I'm sure this isn't an exact one-for-one match of what it would sound like live, but the fact that he can make that guitar sound at all, it goes back to what I said at the beginning, how he had that really good soulful sound and that rasp in his voice. And that rasp is probably part of what he's using now to help do this guitar sound. If you ever watched Michael Winslow, the guy who did the sound effects for Police Academy, he was also really good at doing the guitar effect. I believe it was in an interview he did one time, or maybe he was on Howard Stern, or I don't know. I don't think it was from an act or in the movies. I think it was something he did just in like a talk show or an interview. But he mimicked Jimi Hendrix's, you know, guitar solo and lighting his guitar on fire and everything. And the way he could like get like that weird raspy kind of sound to mimic like, you know, a guitar, because guitars have that distortion, well, electric guitars anyway, like they have that distortion and everything and just that unique sound, and this guy's doing it too, and it works really well. It maybe doesn't sound as much like a guitar as like Michael Winslow did. His sounds almost more like a harmonica, but that also kind of fits the vibe of the song. Like Black Betty, it's like a classic rock tune, but it has a very southern rock feel. So it's a lot more closer to like a blues or a soul type thing. So combined with like his soulful intro, you know, having a more like harmonica sound kind of fits the vibe better and stays more in line with like a southern rock kind of bluesy jam. So whether it was intentional or not that it sounds a little more like a harmonica than a guitar, the point is the sound he's making is A, super impressive, and B, really fits the song. Or at least the song that he's arranged this to be. It's just such a jam. Like the original is too, obviously, but it just... Okay, that right there. That... Let me play it again. It's not... See, the thing is, that noise, like, it sounds cool, but it's way more cool than it sounds. Because it's not like... When people sing and they sustain a note, sometimes they have what's called vibrato, where, like, you know, some people will hold a note and they'll be like, ah, and then other people are like, ah, and you get, like, that little warble where it, like, wavers up and down a little bit. He has kind of like a vibrato effect here, but the noise isn't coming from his vocal cords necessarily. Like, there's like lip and tongue movements in there to make it come out the way it does. You know, beatboxing uses your vocal cords, but it uses all of the space in your mouth. You know, the way your cheeks are puffed or pulled in, the way your tongue and your teeth and your lips all move changes the sounds that you make. So for him to get that warble, to get that effect, like, he has to be doing some crazy movements with like his lips and his tongue to draw that out like that and to make that do that. It's super impressive and it's really cool. And it's such a minor, almost not even noticeable thing, but it blows me away. It's so cool.
She's always my mind.
Okay, so that's the video. Again, I want to talk about, right there at the end, it kind of reinforces with me that he's probably just syllable matching. The words probably don't mean anything to him. He's just saying the sounds that he's heard in the song. Because he actually says at the end, she's always my mind. Not she's always on my mind. She's always my mind doesn't actually make grammatical sense. Obviously, if you're watching this, you're an English speaker, you know that. But, but more importantly, I want to point out that he kind of brought it full circle, and in the end, you know, when he gets to the end of the song, he does that really cool, impressive warble thing, and then he drops the percussion back out, and just goes back to that soulful, bluesy kind of singing to deliver that final line. So, once again, this is someone that, he's not just a beatboxer. Like, I don't know if he's ever produced music, but he's got a producer's mind. Like, he understands music. Just the way he, you know, he slowly ramped it up, and then he really got into it, and he hit it, and he kept introducing new impressive elements, and then he dropped it out at the end and basically called back to the beginning so that it both started and ended on that same vibe. It just, he constructed this perfectly, the whole song. It was so incredibly arranged and well done. Also, I want to point out again, this is a minute 46. It's so short, and he accomplished so much. Like, he had a great beat. He was astounding with that bass and that build, and then that just, like I said, the soulful thing. You'll see the lights returned at the end of the video here to how they were at the beginning, where he turned off all the house lights and brought it back down to just a spotlight on him in the empty auditorium. So it's all kind of full circle from the video standpoint too. This whole thing, it's super impressive. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, not just because I really love it. Like, if you should go and watch, obviously I'm going to link to it down in the description. Or if you've been on YouTube at all, excuse me, in the last couple of weeks, you've probably seen the video already, or seen other people reacting to this video. But I can't recommend enough. Go check out his actual video and just watch it in full without me yammering. And just crank it. The louder the better. Like, really, you need to have your audio up to really get this to hit. But I just, he did so much with so little time, and it's just beyond impressive. The dude is great. That's why I wanted to talk about this, because like I said, I know I don't usually cover music here, and I don't know that I'm going to again in the future. This was just a standout thing, because I thought this was exceptionally good. I'm a fan of covers anyway. Anytime anyone covers a song and just does it in their own style, or makes a slightly different arrangement, or maybe mashes it up with something else, like, I'm always interested. I'm always very happy and curious and just astounded to see how people can take an existing song and make it their own, or make it something completely unique and different from what it used to be. You know, it's always cool to me. Melodica Bros are another great example, where they'll take a hard rock or classic rock or even like heavy metal song and turn it into like an upbeat acoustic, like bop. Likewise, on the other side, I've seen them take things like Iron Man or Here Comes the Sun or Brick in the Wall and turn them into like cyberpunk electro-industrial kind of songs. It's amazing how they can cover things but also change the genre and just the whole mood of the song entirely. And I feel like that's something he did here with Black Betty. Like, Black Betty was always just kind of this rock anthem. Like I said, it always had a bit of a southern rock vibe, but it's just a very well-known song, and we all know what it sounds like, and this was something very different. It's clearly the same song, but it's just, he gave it such a unique twist and unique sound and made it entirely his own, and that's really impressive to me. I really love that. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was cool. I wanted to share, because if you haven't noticed, I am a bit of a nerd, and when I find things that interest me, I want to share them with other people. So that's what this video is, or was. I think I'm done now. Hopefully you gained something from this and it was remotely enjoyable. And if not, alright, that's fine too. Not everyone is going to enjoy everything, so, you know, whatever. My next video will be about video games. I just haven't figured out which one specifically yet. But I will see you then. Yeah. Okay, bye.